Kia ora, 안녕하세요. I'm delighted to be here today to participate in CJ's E&M Environment Conference. This environment conference could not come at a more pressing time. We face a climate change emergency. My government has declared an emergency inside New Zealand. Our Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, has described climate change as the biggest challenge of our time. We see climate change wreaking havoc on natural resources, on the sea, on land, and endangering the very survival of some countries. Even in my country, New Zealand, I was back there recently, and you can see the tangible impact of climate change. New Zealand has a strong relationship with the environment which goes back a very long way. The indigenous Maori people of New Zealand have this concept they call kaitiakitanga, which means guardianship or protection. And a kaitiaki is a guardian, is someone who looks after the natural environment around them. For in Te Ao Māori, in the Maori concept of the world, everything is connected. Humans are part of nature. So in traditional Māori society, there was no concept of ownership of land. Māori were hunters and fishers and farmers, but they did so in a way that looked after the environment. They would only take as much resource as the environment allowed in order to be sustaining. They would occasionally declare a rahui on a certain area, which meant that no one was allowed to collect more food or resource from that area because it was endangered. So the concept of ownership of land is essentially a Western concept. And so we're trying to get beyond that and return to an approach of custodianship or kaitiakitanga of our environment. For example, we took this concept of the Māori concept of the world and took it into legislation, and the Whanganui River has been declared to have its own personality, its own legal existence, even though it's a river. And that means that we must respect the resources of that river as if it were a person. Finally, you mentioned the Billion Trees Initiative. This is another great way in which New Zealand can contribute meaningfully to mitigation of climate change. But we don't just mean plant any tree anywhere. What we mean by that is plant the right kind of tree in the right way, in the right place, so that it contributes to biodiversity and we don't end up with, for example, uncontrolled plantation forestry. So in this and many other ways, the concept of kaitiakitanga is a key part of our approach to climate change and the environment generally. We have an obligation to the next generation, which is our young people today, because we know that if we don't act today, that will become a burden for the next generation. So it is time for action, and I'm very heartened by what I see in Korea today, both in government and in society. I would like to congratulate CJ, E&M, SapienssstudiO for hosting this environment conference this month. I look forward very much to the success of this event and hope that this will become a permanent feature of the calendar, of the environmental calendar in Korea going forward. Thank you very much. Kia ora and kamsahamnida.